going to go ahead and open up your hood, locate your oil dipstick. I'm going to go ahead and remove this. Give this a wipe down. Set it across the top of the engine. Using a 17mm socket in our ratchet, we're going to go ahead and remove our drain plug and drain out our engine oil. You want to have your catch can ready to go. Always good to be wearing gloves when doing this here because it can get pretty dirty. Go ahead and install your drain plug. Go ahead and snug that down. And give that a wipe. Clean that up. I'm going to go ahead and remove our under engine cover here. I'm going to use our trim tool here to pop these buttons out. You want to do this all the way around the perimeter. Now the two in the front center, we'll save these to last here. And go ahead and pull this splash guard down. Let's use our trim tool and pop this retainer clip for this line here. Go ahead and move that hose down out of the way a little bit. That'll give us some room to get to the 10mm bolt here on the front side of the oil pan. We're going to go ahead and loosen and remove that. And then to the right side of the harmonic balancer, there's another 10mm bolt over here. We're going to go ahead and loosen and remove. Get that bolt out there. Let's go ahead and repeat for the other side. And here's that other bolt right to the right of the harmonic balancer. Okay, remove that bolt there. Now I want to go ahead and remove the center bolt here. There's a little dab of RTV you can see through the slot here in our harmonic balancer. The bolt is directly below that. So let's go ahead and loosen and remove that one. And we have it. I'm going to remove these two bolts holding the shield on. Use our 10mm socket. Move these two bolts using our 14mm socket and ratchet. We use our 14mm wrench for the side here due to the spacing allowed. Let's go ahead and remove the rest of the 10mm bolts holding our oil pan. There is one 10mm bolt up between these two pieces of webbing here for the oil pan. We're going to leave that one till last. Let's go ahead and remove the 10mm bolts on the other side of the pan first. And let's get our last one inside the webbing here. Now between our flywheel and our oil pan, there are two more 10mm bolts up in here. Let's go ahead and loosen this one right here. And get to the one up here. Using a 10mm socket, go ahead and remove this bolt right here. And remove our power steering pump reservoir. Let's go ahead and move this up to the side. We're going to use our jack with a block of wood. I'm going to put this up underneath our oil pan. And we're using a block of wood just to disperse the weight.
give a nice even platform on the oil pan. Now we don't want to lift the engine, we simply want to support it. So once we make contact, just a hair bit more pressure, and that's it. Using our 17mm socket and ratchet, let's go ahead and remove this bolt here. Go ahead and remove that bolt. Let's go ahead and slightly jack up the engine a little bit. Now with the engine jacked up, I'm going to go ahead and put a block of wood between the subframe and the harmonic balancer. And basically what you want to do is you want to go ahead and shim this up so that is tight up against that balancer itself to support that engine. At this point here, once we have that engine supported, let's go ahead and release our jack here and roll that out. At this point here, you want to go ahead and clean off the residual gasket or RTV around the perimeter. We're going to clean up the edges and get this ready for installation of the new pan. You want to go ahead and make sure that you pull these sleeves out. These are guide sleeves for the oil pan. The new pan will come with those. I'm going to use a little bit of solvent on a rag. I want to go around the perimeter of our oil pan where we're going to be putting down our RTV. Make sure this is clean. I'm going to use some gray RTV here, and we're going to go around our perimeter. I'm just going to continue this around, then we'll level it off a little bit. I'm going to make sure that our gasket material is even all the way around. Now we're going to go ahead and let this tack up for about 10 minutes. Then we're going to go ahead and install this pan. And this should create a nice seal between the engine and our oil pan. Going to raise our pan up and into position. Go ahead and use our mallet here and just gently tap this up and in. And go ahead and throw a couple bolts in here. And we're just going to get these started by hand. Gonna go around the perimeter, make sure we get all of these started by hand. And then we'll go ahead and snug them all down.
So we're just going to go ahead and snug these down. I'm not going to tighten them, we just want to bottom them out. So we're going to go ahead and torque all of our bolts. The final torque spec should be 8.7 foot-pounds. We need to go around the perimeter 3 times. The first time we're going to start at 5.5 foot-pounds. We can do this for all of the oil pan bolts. Now on our second pass through, we're going to go ahead and torque them to 7 foot-pounds. Do this all the way around until we come back to the start again. And our final pass through is going to be 8.7 foot-pounds. Install our back cover here. And this is the access cover for your flywheel. I want to go ahead and just snug that into place. Doesn't have to be super tight, just once that bottoms out, just give it a little bit more. It's bottomed out. That's it, just a little bit more. Install our lower bolts here. And there's one up in the front section here. Got these started by hand. I like to thread them in as far as I can by hand. Okay, let's go ahead and snug those down. All right, I want to snug these in. Once it bottoms, give it a little bit more. Do the same with this one. Snug that down and just a little bit more.
Let's go ahead and put our jack back underneath. Go ahead and jack up that piece of wood, put some pressure on that oil pan. Now we can go ahead and remove that block of wood from between the harmonic balancer and the cradle. Now I'm going to go ahead and slowly lower the jack. I'm going to go ahead and get this to line up with our engine mount here. Go ahead and get that bolt started. Once that bottoms out, get a little bit more. Let's go ahead and lower the jack completely and remove that from the vehicle. Let's go ahead and position our power steering reservoir back into position. And slide that back into its bracket on the side of the fender here. Push that into place. Let's line up our AC line. We're going to get our 10mm bolt started back in that. And we'll tighten that down. Go ahead and line up our hose clip here, line that up into the frame, and we're just going to push that down into place. Go ahead and install your wheel. Making a mess, and going to install your lug nuts. Get them all started by hand. Once these are all on, I'm going to go ahead and snug them down. Let's get and torque our lug nuts down to 80 foot-pounds. And you're all set. Install our splash shield here. I'm going to start by getting a couple of these center buttons popped up and into place. Once we have these two center ones installed, we'll go ahead and work our way around and get the rest of the other ones installed around the perimeter. On the bottom here, go ahead and install this little tab into the well liner. Work our way to the top here. Snap that into place. There you go. Now when we started, we removed our dipstick to remind us that we have to add oil to this. So we'll just set that aside, open up our oil fill cap, and set this aside. Using a clean funnel, I'm going to go ahead and add 4.2 liters of oil. Go ahead and remove our funnel and take our dipstick, slide this down into place. Let's go ahead and put on our oil fill cap here. Now at this point here, we've added the 4.2 quarts of oil to our engine. Now we can't start this at this point. We need to wait about 3 hours for that gasket to set up on the oil pan. Once we've met that 3 hours, we can come out here, start up the engine, let it run for about 30 seconds. Shut it down, come on out here. We're gonna pull up that dipstick. We're gonna wipe this down, put it back in, and we're going to pull this out one last time. I want to go ahead and check the dipstick. I want to make sure that the oil level is at the top dot on the oil dipstick. If it is down to the low dot, you want to add a quart. If it's in the middle, it's going to be a half a quart. Add it as necessary. Ours is at the perfect level, so we're going to go ahead and finish this up.